We're talking about parrots versus practitioners. And which one are you? And if you are finding yourself being more of a parrot, meaning you are doing more talking than doing, then I got 5 ways, tactical things that you can do to actually become a practitioner. Let's dive in to another episode of the Happy Hustle Podcast. Do you want blissful balance in your personal and professional life? Great. What's up, guys? My name is Cary and I want to help you happy hustle a life you love, one full of passion, purpose, and positive impact. I'm a lifestyle entrepreneur, a professional model / actor, a digital marketing specialist, a podcast host, author, a biohacker, an eco warrior, a martial artist, a hippie cowboy, and a humanitarian. My goal is to educate, inspire, and entertain you to live a life of passion, purpose, and positive impact. It is time to happy hustle your dream reality. Yee-yee! What's up, y'all? My name is Cary and I am a lifestyle entrepreneur. I can say best-selling author of our book, The Happy Hustle, version 2.0, 10 alignments to avoid burnout and achieve blissful balance. Became a USA Today bestseller, and very grateful and humbled by that. Also, top 0.5% global ranked podcast host, but specifically, I'm someone who has been a parrot in the past, and now I'm more of a practitioner, and I want to share with you how I became that person and how you can too. Now, let me address the elephant in the room. If you're on YouTube right now and you see my yellow blue blocks glasses, shout out to them. They sent me these. These lights are bright when I'm recording. And so I got my blockers on. All right. Yes, a little 70s porn star-ish, the yellow framed aviators. But nonetheless, I digress. Let's get into the content. So let's define terms, okay? Parrot, first and foremost, is someone who repeats things they've heard but never really applies what they've learned. You know, they sound smart, but they lack real world results. And I want to give credit first to the concept overall. The Diary of CEO, Stephen Bartlett, host, he had this concept, and I thought it was a great way to articulate it, parrot versus practitioner. So that's where I heard this first. I don't know if he came up with it or someone else, but I always like to give credit where credit's due. So a parrot, you know that person. I know that person well. I can think about my friend who has been to every Tony Robbins summit under the sun, got every certification from Unleash the Power Within to Business Mastery and all these things, but never actually applied it. And they just parrot what Tony says and not actually apply it to their own reality. And they're just constantly in this like certification craze. They regurgitate a lot of business buzzwords without substance. They claim to know the best strategies, but they haven't actually used them. They spend more time talking about success. So I call these people too on the social media landscape, furus, like fake gurus. There's a bunch of them. They don't really have proof of success. I recently just heard about a crypto guy who claims to be the crypto freedom guy and how to have all this abundance. But then my buddy was just telling me that he knows him personally and then the guy's actually broke. And he's made a lot of bad moves with the money he did make from crypto. So you have to think about like this in this world of facades and rented Lambos and, you know, standing in front of a jet and pretending it's yours. Like there's a lot of people out there. And I don't claim to be the guru of shit, just to be clear. You know, I'm just the reporter of, hey, this is what's worked in my life. And here it is for you. Maybe you can apply it. Maybe you don't. But I just like to take that stance of more of the reporter rather than the guru. Okay. Now let's talk about the practitioner, okay? And the practitioner is someone who actually does the work, right? They experiment, they learn, and they execute. And regardless of whether anyone is watching, they get her done. That's a practitioner. They do the dark work, right? And unfortunately, there's not that many people out there doing it. So it's important when you do find someone to lean in on those practitioners and heed that wisdom. So a practitioner develops what they call, in again, the scientific world, procedural knowledge, which is they've actually done the damn thing. They failed, they iterated, and they've refined their skills. It's one thing to understand how an ad campaign should work, right? And it's another thing to have spent like $100,000 in ad spend and actually know what works, right? This is the difference. Someone who knows in theory how private equity works, but has never actually done a private equity deal. And again, there's a big difference between declarative and procedural knowledge, between parrots and practitioners. They are okay with failure because they are in the arena, not in the stands. They said I did rather than I should. And so you got to think about, an entrepreneur who has tested, has failed, has iterated. Maybe they've evolved their business. These are practitioners in the arena getting after it. And I have respect for those type of people. Health experts who actually live and breathe the actual, proof, like my buddy Ben Greenfield. Like, you look at that guy, he's a specimen. He gets after it. I take advice from him because he's a practitioner. There's other people who, I wouldn't take advice from in that health and fitness world, who they claim to have it, but you look at them and they're overweight and unhealthy and they don't have the energy that I seek. So this is the same with leaders. This is the same with health experts, entrepreneurs. There's all sorts of these people who don't, walk the talk, right? Their bark is bigger than their bite, right? In layman's terms. Anyway, so it's important to know the difference between parrots and practitioners, declarative and procedural knowledge. Now, the question is, who are you learning from? Are you learning from entertainers or educators? Because parrots can largely be entertainers. And then you have educators who are largely practitioners. So you have to think about who's on your social media feed right now. Are they more entertainers or are they more educators? And I did a complete wipe of my social media. So a little tactic here: get crystal clear on who you want to follow, wipe everyone else away, and only follow the practitioners, the educators, the people who are actually achieving the results that you desire. And that's how you actually can learn when you're on your social media, not just get caught in the death scroll getting entertained. Okay. Now, here is how to go from parrot to practitioner. Like I said, I want to share 5 things that you can actually do, tactically speaking, to go from parrot to practitioner. So number 1, audit your knowledge versus execution. So look at what you've been saying versus what you've been doing. And are you just learning to sound smart, or do you actually take action? Like recently, I just heard from Gary Brecka, for instance, that folic acid is this unnatural compound that's in a lot of enriched flour and wheat products, which is, basically causing a lot of gut dysbiosis and a lot of trauma within our bodies, and a lot of people who become then anxiety filled or depressed, etc., because of this folic acid. And if you want to remove that, then you need to completely cut that folic acid from your diet and stop with all the enriched flour and wheat. So recently I made that shift. I took that knowledge that I learned and then I applied it as a practitioner to my diet because it isn't serving me. So it's like hearing one thing and then executing upon it. That is the first tactic. The second tactic is adopt the 70-30 rule. The 70-30 rule states spend 70% of your time doing and only 30% of your time learning. So reading books is great, but execution really creates results. You hear this, knowledge is power, knowledge is power. And then Tony Robbins, speaking of, parroting, I'm going to parrot Tony because, we did kind of throw a little shade towards the people who get a lot of certifications from him. But nonetheless, I love Tony and I've learned a lot from him. I want to parrot his quote, which is, knowledge is potential power, but execution is the real power. And I butchered that quote, but you get the idea. You have to execute the knowledge. All right, third tactic, set action-based goals. So instead of saying, I want to start a business, you say, I will create my first offer and I'll get 5 paying customers by the end of this month. And here's how I'll do it, right? So you set that action-based goal with a deadline. We at the Happy Hustle set SMART goals. This is a writer downer. If you're not familiar with the term, it's SMART, meaning specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, and timely goals. If you set SMART goals, you will crush life. I'm telling you. Now, fourth thing is surround yourself with practitioners. That's why we have the Happy Hustle Club, our high-level mastermind community of badass entrepreneurs, because when you are in the presence of doers and practitioners and people who get her done, you are inspired. They say, rising tide lifts all ships, all the things, all the cliches. It's true. You really have to surround yourself with those type of people. Your environment is everything. Okay? Hang around with action takers and you'll take more action. All right. And the fifth thing that you can do to go from parrot to practitioner is embrace the discomfort. Yes, it will feel uncomfortable, but being a practitioner means embracing failure, pushing through resistance, getting disciplined, getting out of your comfort zone, right? That is how you go from parrot to practitioner. And the question is, which one are you? And if you are more of a parrot, then let's become more of a practitioner. Okay. So to do a recap, are you a parrot or are you a practitioner? Do you do more talking or are you actually implementing the knowledge that you have learned? And if you are more of a parrot, here are 5 things tactically that you can do to go from parrot to practitioner. So I hope this was valuable for you. Again, it's not rocket science, but it's just bringing into your awareness this concept of parrot versus practitioner, declarative versus procedural knowledge, learning from either entertainers or educators, right? It's really this duality, this yin and yang. So I want you to think about it for yourself. And I hope this kind of maybe gave you the old spark to become more of a practitioner. All right, y'all. I appreciate the heck out of you. Share this with someone who could also benefit. Like, comment, subscribe, do all the things. Help a brother out. Spread the good word. I appreciate the heck out of you. Thank you so much. Peace and love. I'm out.